Such a question. How much water should we consume? Per day, yes, per day. 8 bottles of the...
A gallon, sorry.
A gallon is about 4 liters. All right, not bad. What of that? Yes.
Was as much as you can consume.
Is there a downside to consuming too much water?
Is there? Yes.
Yeah. What was the downside? Hydration, get it more.
I've heard it said, I don't know anything about it.
Again?
Most of
You can beach or something. So,
Natural spring water is not just pure H2O. It has a lot of minerals. A lot of the osmosis water that we buy, whether it's the brand called Seaway or the other brands, the process remove those micronutrients, those minerals. It's just pure H2O. Your body actually needs those micronutrients. So ideally, if you're drinking water, spring water which has those nutrients, say about 3 liters a day for the adults. 3 liters a day. A little bit further, those are what they said here. And in the first hour of the day, consuming a liter of water, half to 1 liter of water, in the night time, slow down. And then for the next 12 hours of the day, consuming the remaining 2 liters. If your water is not pure spring water, what you think you can do is you can add a pinch of salt, not the regular commercial salt. Rock salt, sea salt, the popular one was called the Himalayan salt. I'm looking for something to bring American salt. Yes, there is even Okudu salt. The natural salt, whether it's the rock salt or the sea salt, has a lot of other minerals combined with the commercial industrial salt. Yes, sir, about tea?
Yes.
No, tea, you can.
Okay. Whether it's black.
Let's pause on one thing. What really is tea? What is tea?
the plant.
Leaves.
Infused leaves.
Yeah.
Whether it's ugu, whether it's spinach,
Okay.
whether it is lemongrass, whether it is the black tea, whether it's green tea, whether it's even what's that popular one? Moringa.
Yeah.
Once you add hot water to any leaf, you get an extract, an infused extract. That's tea. That's tea. So tea is a part of our nature from when we discovered hot water or fire water. Sorry. Okay, so that answers the question. Is fire or rice? Maybe it's we have brown rice, we have red rice.
The brown rice is okay.
Pure brown rice is okay.
Yeah.
You can start in a little mix, do a gradual transition over several days. If you have rice every day, maybe the first day put about 10% brown rice. Next day, 20%, 30%. By the following week, you have to 50%, 60%. There's red rice also, which is actually more nutritious than.
But I understand brown rice has arsenic, which is a poison.
We're missing
White rice is worse in that case.
Doctor, can you come to the front? Because they are missing. And everybody knows.
Yes. The concern about arsenic and rice is not just brown rice, even white rice. In parts of the Far East, some of the chemicals they use in the field is arsenic based, and the residue remains in that rice that we import. Okay. All right. So we talked about caffeine.
We know that there's power in nature, but the problem I have with assessing is the fact that medically it gives you prescription. It takes 1 pill a day. This one, but like if we go on a frolic of eating natural things, blending, cucumber, blending, there's no measurement to it. I remember there was a time I went for wellness tests, and the doctor did a lot of tests on me. Said my alpha protein was high, and said, "Do you take any abo?" And I said, "No, I don't take abo." And the next time I said, "But I take cucumber, I blend." He said, "All of them are categorized as abo." He said, "Stop everything you are doing. Stop! Don't eat anything. Don't blend the cucumber, blend the broccoli, blend this and the drink. Stop it!" And the way she went about it, I'm like, "Did I say an offense?" And she says, "It's wrong for you to be drinking all those. There's no measurement to it. You people keep drinking." So I got a bit confused. because I don't know which one to drink now and which one not to drink.
Please, give us your big book to that doctor. Very few doctors have the boldness and depth of knowledge as Dr. Colbert to break away from the I don't want to say arrogance, from the lack of acknowledgement that we don't have the knowledge as conventionally trained medical doctors to talk about nutrition. We don't. Period. We don't. It's not taught in medical schools. It's not. So we're not qualified to talk about nutrition, whether it is cucumber or it is agbalumo or mango. We're not. Very few doctors have gone the extra mile, such as Dr. Colbert. And once doctor step into this realm, it's like they're in a toy store because they find too many new tools and they go into the realm. Online, there's so many of them. There's Dr. Berg, so many of them, without mentioning names, online, who understand principles of using nature to reverse the body's ailments.
Doctor, there's a question online.
Let me do my own thing. The first chapter is titled Living Food versus Dead Food. So it says some things you eat give you life, some things you eat bring death. That's what it said in the first chapter. So I'd like you to say something about this. And then in addition to that, I want to join Madam. You know, one of the problems I have with this subject is that at some point in time it gets very confusing. Because this expert says it's this, then another expert says that same thing the other expert said you should eat, you should stop eating. You know, don't eat eggs and all that. So it gets confusing. So I'd like you to, referring to what Dr. Colbert said here, to help us answer that.
In the first to the three chapters, he touches this beautifully. It starts with Genesis. And Genesis is all about eating foods that have seeds, fruits of the earth. Before he later goes and talks about introducing meat. In particular, after if you truly want to heal, you must go back to ground zero. The Bible is very clear about the green leaves of healing. When we reverse disease, that's diabetes, it's lupus, arthritis, or even cancer. The experts who reverse disease go back to the basics, go back to nature. The greens, the vegetables, some of the fruits also, some of the nuts and seeds. So, whatever source your expert is quoting, going back to ground zero, the Bible and Genesis. Now, living food versus dead food. Human body is a living flow, a living river. Everything in us non-stop is in flux. New cells have been made, old cells have been removed 24/7. Your entire engine, cells that create energy for you, rely on enzymes. What are enzymes? They're catalysts, living catalysts. It's not a living machine. It requires also those living enzymes, those fruits. It requires those living nutrients. And very simply put, the more dead food you put in your system, the less optimal the body is.
It's rice.
What are the categories of this?
We'll start from the worst and we'll come to the in-between. The worst ones are the highly processed ones. Anything in a box, anything that comes from a factory where it is now canned and packaged.
It's just rice qualifies.
Yes, it is.
Rice.
Yes, ma'am.
How about bread?
Yes, ma'am. Times 2.
How about brown bread? Brown bread.
Yes, ma'am.
Breakfast for children.
What are we doing before bread came? How long has bread been in Nigeria?
I was born.
Thank you.
At least bread.
Bread is a construct of the colonial influence. Maybe about 150 years. Prior to that, what were we eating?
Yeah.
For breakfast? Yes, yam.
Yeah, pap.
Yes, pap, cornmeal, yes, aja. There was many other things that we ate before the box cereals. Box cereals are dead food. You go to the factory and see how it's processed. All right.
Kids that were feeding cereal and animal milk with poisoning them. Essentially, that's milk.
The statement in here, find it, I will read it word for word. That this is the first generation of children who will live less than their parents. When I was in residency in Baltimore, the orthopedic surgeons would say if an African comes for knee or bone surgery, they sweat. Because of the density and thickness of the African bone. Here amongst our children. Go to the lab that does their storytelling. Our children's bone density today, near what grandparents. Even there's a book called Nutrition and Human Degeneration by passed away as a dentist. Nutrition and Human Degeneration. It shows when children move from eating traditional food in the villages, cities where there's a lot of Western influence, as Colbert addresses, they lose not only in the bone density, even their bone structure, even the arch in their mouth, their teeth and dental structure. It becomes worse. Nutrition and Human Degeneration. Because one, you enjoy strong bones, longevity, start giving your children living food right from day one. And day one is not when they are born, no. When is day one? When is day one?
Today.
When is day one?
Day one of the child.
Before conception.
Thank you. Before conception. The moment you decide you want to have children, you start preparing the body, you start preparing the sperm and the eggs by your nutrition. In many other cultures, before you get married, you go to what's called, don't call it fattening room. It's actually a place where they teach you how to eat, prepare your eggs for fertilization. Because many of us are totally because to that art. We had it here in parts of cultures here in Nigeria. When you got married, they sent the women off to certain places to prepare their body nutritionally, to optimize their eggs. What they want is not conception, it's not when you decide you want to
Doctor, I want to read that last question. Which are the examples of living foods? And they actually wrote here. Living foods, examples here: fruits, vegetables, grains, seeds, and nuts. Living foods exist in a raw or close to raw form. Living foods exist in a raw or close to raw state and are beautifully packaged in divinely created wrappers called skins and peels. Living foods look robust, healthy, and alive. They have not been bleached, refined, or chemically enhanced and preserved. Living foods are plucked, harvested, and squeezed, not processed, not packaged, and not put on shelves. Then he gives examples of dead foods. Dead foods are the opposite. They have been altered in every imaginable way to make them last as long as possible and be as addictive as possible. That usually means the manufacturer adds considerable amounts of sugar and man-made fats that involve taking various oils and heating them to dangerously high temperatures. Does that answer your question on pizza, man?
Yes.
It's a mind drop. So, you know, first be like the West. We're going in the wrong direction.
You know, I was reading something here about MSG, and I was wondering if you would say something about it.
Monosodium glutamate.
In our quest to be like the West, or was it in our quest to, I think we thought we were improving. That's how it was sold to us. And then also the shelf life for things. We can't actually, because we don't have power, we can't refrigerate and keep fresh food for so long. So I guess these are the reasons, this is for me, the reason why we have evolved today. And then we live in cities, not in the village. So how do we balance it?
Yes.
Now, small,
Yeah.
like that.
Yes, there are actually people who talk about urban farming. Yeah, like here in Koyi. Okay. The question about MSG. Who knows what MSG stands for? What's about MSG? It's a lab chemical. It's synthesized by man. It's used for several things, including to verify lab rats for experimentation. Man has now found that you can use it to alter the phone call. When you're eating food, at a certain point, your stomach sends a signal to the brain. It's okay. Push back. Back it up. MSG blocks that phone, that MTN phone call. So you can tend to overeat. And the two MSG is called an excitotoxin, which explains in this book.
Yeah.
It excites the brain, point where the cells die. Very exciting. I have a nutritionist colleague in Ghana who calls MSG containing foods like Spaghetti, Hunger, you name all the brands. You know what he calls them? The widow maker. The widow maker. Highly inflammatory condiment. There's a couple questions online.
Yeah, that's a couple of the questions online. Yes. Okay, so there's a question online so that we can.
To help with the plants. People are doing home farms now. We're talking about plants around vegetable. Home farm. We have someone in our church who does not buy vegetables. Just on his veranda, he has pots where he's growing all those pepper, parsley, coriander, all the plants. So we need to get going back to that.
So some questions online. This is BMI rates the true ideal weight. I have early, I don't know if I got this right. I have early onset of arthritis, and these days doctors are in a hurry to suggest knee replacement. No one said the best is weight loss, but this is so difficult during menopause. Then another question is PAP not processed?
That's a good question.
Let's take that last question first. We just read the space on vegan food. Exists in a closed thought state. Especially if it's homemade pap. Index ratio of height to weight. It simply gives you I just do how is your weight based relation to your height. If it passes on 4, I think it is of 30, the obesity. Above 7, it's overweight. Below 8, you're underweight. It's a reference to the other parameters.
I've never seen anyone that is never seen anyone with
Nigeria. It's like
many of them very worried.
Alright, let's go to there's a chapter on.
So just the last thing on oils. You know, we have this whole conversation: the vegetable oil, the canola oil, this and that. You know, we have our local oil, the palm oil. So which oil is good or no oil?
Let's go back to that first. Close to raw, close to naked. What oils is the processing closest to raw destination?
Oil. Pressed
Old expressed
Yeah.
coconut oil, old expressed palm oil, old expressed olive oil.
if I speak
If you do, Just use that principle. How close is it to use for natural form?
Not oil and tea oil. Palm oil.
Most of your imported oils, soybean oil, nut oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, these are highly processed oils. Use chemicals and plastic heat.
What should we use?
Again, the principle is use an oil that is close to its raw state. Palm oil was mentioned, traditional groundnut oil was mentioned, olive oil was mentioned, was a cold expressed. Cold press.
Like on the screen.
I read somewhere that when you use olive oil, you must not heat it up.
Oils have different properties. Again, discuss this oil in this book. Some oils are not heat tolerant. They are very low. Some call it a heating point, some call it a burning point, depending on call it. Olive oil doesn't tolerate minimal. Once oils that tolerate higher heat cooking, go with oil, not oil, most oil. What do you say?
Rapeseed oil.
It's one thing around us here, red palm oil. That's another day's discussion because he didn't talk about red palm oil in this book, didn't? It's not in his cultural milieu.
It doesn't know, yeah.
Many of us today have bastardized red palm oil because of what the West has done to skew us towards their own troublesome oils. You guys need to go back and look at red.
Doctor, I honestly can't imagine life without rice. Yeah, so you need to help me with this personal counseling now. Help me with the alternative to rice. That's by the way. But meanwhile, you know, a conclusion I reached, and I would like your expert advice on this. The conclusion I reached after a few years ago, I had a near-death experience that made me look at my nutrition, forced me to put out my nutrition and all that. And at some point in time, I got very confused because I was reading and hearing a lot of conflicting things. I then reached a conclusion, which is the basis of my question, that I think the law for eating, as far as I'm concerned, is moderation. You know, just be very moderate. You know, just be moderate. Whatever you're eating, be moderate. And I learned that from a very elderly person who I regard as a role model. He's in his 90s. He eats anything, but he eats very little. And he does a lot of physical. Yes, even now in his 90s, he's still walking. He walks around. He does a lot of things. The man even takes alcohol. About 92 or 93. He likes his glass of, you know. Yeah. So I looked at him and I said, is that the trick here, or is it a wrong philosophy to adopt?
That word moderation in the wrong hands is very dangerous word. In the wrong hands, that word moderation is a very dangerous word. I was privileged to give a talk to a group of clergymen, and the issue was asked about moderation and alcohol. And someone said, my moderation is this much. And I said, mine is a goblet. One said, mine is a full bottle. So moderation is a very dangerous word in a mischievous mind. It's meant well, but moderation. There's some things you should really moderate down. Things you moderate up. Like water. Sugar should be down there, moderation. Meat, down there, moderation. Milk. Just take it off the table altogether. Cow's milk. You can do tiger milk, almond milk, coconut milk. Alright, oat milk. He doesn't. Not much oat milk. He's motivating it. How is it being processed? It comes from 1,000 miles across the water. Things are done to it to make sure it stays alive till it gets to you. It's still okay till it gets to you. Minimize the end of the items. It's growth and so on. Somebody said, when I asked about what would Jesus eat, what did somebody say? Honeycomb. Honeycomb. That's no wrong with money. I mean, children, not for babies, but children are about. But maybe they enjoy honey. Let one eat the honey. They'll come out to the breast.
And couscous is basically like
What is couscous? Bread of what sauce? It's a wheat. And so we're teaching folks to avoid wheat. Completely.
What about pounded yam and
Dr. Colbert doesn't discuss.
on ripe plantain?
We are reviewing this book now. Let's go to the yam.
Please don't ask us not to eat pounded yam. I'm begging you.
It is part of our innate strength building, longevity lasting, better food. Yes, not poundo, right? Not poundo, not semo either.
Natural yam.
Natural yam.
in moderation.
Oh, those ones we buy
In the bag. You buy the yam, you eat it.
The water I use for it.
but we can use
Yam powder.
yam powder.
Yes.
Use the water.
Is the powder you pack it there?
That one is
Okay, it's my final. Let me pause your question. It's an area I want to touch on a lot. He goes into vitamins a lot in this book. He puts down vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C. Please read those chapters very well. Because many of us are showing up today with a deficiency, insufficiency. And there's much more that we get from the sunlight beyond vitamin D. Not all the vitamin A and vitamin E, but help your blood vessels, not just vessels. Yes, ma'am. Yam, like sweet potatoes, is high in complex carbohydrates, which isn't the difference. Things like you don't do your digestive system. Pounded yam, like is very high in fiber, natural, non-component. Our native natural tubers, cocoyam, regular yam, water yam, yellow yam, with the white one, yellow one, orange one, are very high in complex carbohydrates and complex fibers, including fibers, and help us rapidly release heat in the body. In terms of nutritional glycemic index, they are much better than several my brother was how it's going to go there. My brother is longevity. Still the 20,000. Regular things. Yeah, reduce the meat. You don't do that. Stop. He talks a lot in the chapters about staying close to nature. Each of us is given our own Garden of Eden, literally. Some of the charts he has here, this book was done in 2009. So some of the charts are a bit outdated. However, he doesn't consider appropriately a lot of our own ethnic foods. Whether it's Papuan, whether it's Zobo. There's a chart here for something called ORAC, oxygen radical capacity. What we do is we measure how powerful an antioxidant